Hi guys, Hengist here from House of Hengist Comics, and a big welcome back to the channel. Today it's air. We're back in Norway with Norway in Flames, and this one I've entitled Scrambled Eggs. First, the news. Well, it's all now about Narvik. The southern military land-based operation has been completed. The Germans are victorious, but the British now are shelling, the Royal Navy is shelling Narvik. Lots of civilians have left, and there's a lot of damage. The Norwegians have also attempting to make attack runs on the German Navy along with the Royal Navy, and hurricanes are landing up near Narvik as well. So as I said, it's all air today, and an air attack. It's air to ground as we move into a sudden and surprising ice-cold combat, where we actually see a bombing and strafing run against an airfield, and this is held by the British and Norwegian forces. So let's have a look at what they've got today. Well, the RAF, they've got 3 Gloucester Gladiators on the runway. One is actually in one of the hangars. And here are some of the models that I've got here. These models are 15mm. We've also managed to get hold of, I think it's a fairy swordfish as well. This one is the markings for the Warspite, and this aircraft is actually in this game. In addition to that, we weren't sure, but we've got a long-range Lysander, which was used as a bomber early on, not very effectively, and before it moved into clandestine operations. So we've got her there, but she's being fixed and repaired. The defences, well, they've got 2 Bofor guns and 1 heavy machine gun position. The Bofor's obviously a 40mm cannon. Effectively, here are some rounds here. Obviously quite high explosive content, very effective really, both against the air and ground targets. The Norwegian Army Air Force, well, that's got a Fokker X1V, I think it is. Here's a picture which I sort of copied. I took a Italian model and basically cut that to pieces and rebuilt it. And there's the earlier Fokker version there, which is the ground bomber. The Germans, well, what have they got? Well, they've got, we've represented this with a number of different aircraft, with the Ju-88, which is the primary bomber. She'll be coming in with a 1,000-pound payload. There's a nice cockpit picture here. I think this is the ME-110. That will be supporting them as well. But it's a Junkers Ju-88 with its full 500 kilo. Or 2 250 bombs, I'm not sure which they'll be taking, supported again by an ME-109. The ME-110 has proven to be highly effective in this campaign, both as a bomber and a fighter. The ME-109 is pretty much untouchable against the enemy that we've seen today. So what are we looking at today? Well, let's take a look at the mission. Effectively, the British Air Force have been, and the Norwegians have been caught napping, so to speak. As they continue their work on the workshops and getting everything ready, they're pretty ignorant to what is going on outside in the real world, so to speak, because the British forces are pulling out. They're trying to repair and get ready to abandon the airfield when, from this original photograph, in come the Luftwaffe. Now we allow them reaction. The objective is basically for the British to get as many aircraft off the table and into the air and shoot down as many of the Germans as possible, and the Germans is to blow up as many targets as possible. The pictures here sort of depict various stages in the airfield. There's the Lysander being repaired. We've got the hard standing and the runway. You can just see the Fokker on the back of the runway there. There are Bofors at both ends of the runway. And here's the Swordfish. Basically, she's effectively just landed but is fueled and getting ready to leave and return to Warspite. We're again using Flames of War sort of basis for this system, Achtung Panzer. This is our Achtung Spitfire system. And let's get straight into the action now, because it's really furious and fast. Only 6 turns, effectively 6 minutes. The British basically are unaware. They failed their reaction test. They're not ready as enemy aircraft come flying in over the Swordfish, who looks up with absolute horror at the sight ahead of him. There's a massed bell ringing and a scramble to get the Gloucester Gladiator pilots out. Here you can see the ground crew hastily pushing the aircraft out. One is actually stuck in the door as a Stuka and basically Ju-88 come roaring in. The Ju-88 immediately drops its payload. Its target is the hangar, opens fire with its front machine gun ineffectively against the Lysander. The Stuka continues. However, the first two bombs that it's dropped, two 250 bombs, basically blow the hangar apart and destroy one of the Gloucester Gladiators. The other two are desperate to get off the deck, and their ground crews are unfortunately failing skill checks. The ME-109 that has come in behind basically opens fire, tracers erupting behind the Gloucester, the ferry Swordfish, which basically roars its engines in the next turn or so and manages to basically get airborne. Go Navy, as as I shouted, and she basically narrowly misses the 109 and just gets above her, but she's out of here, straight back to Warspite and off the table, as an incredulous fisherman, Mr. Ragnarsson, looks on absolutely horrified at what he's seeing. As we can see, the bombers have come in, they're shooting up as they go. The next target basically for a bomb load basically is a bit of a fuel and ammo dump. That is hit again and basically detonates, but the blast doesn't manage to destroy the Lysander, which is still basically the crews, there's several have been shot down, are trying to repair her as the Ju-88 banks and turns about in amongst the smoke. At the same point, the Fokker manages to basically take right off and gets into the air. She manages to avoid several of the aircraft on her takeoff, but the enemy aircraft are sort of banking and coming round just when we get reserves coming, which is an ME-110. There's a poor old Gloucester Gladiator rumbling up the runway. She's trying to get airborne, and she does, even though she comes under fire. That pilot was incredible. Gets the aircraft off the deck. In the meantime, the two fighters, the fighter bomber ME-110, banks, turns around, opened fire on the Bofors. Now the Bofors have been firing, but very poorly. As the Ju-87 dives, we've got the screaming sirens coming down, and they force us, the horns of Jericho roar. The anti-aircraft gun had to make a skill check to fire, basically failed, so it was pinned. The bombs hit, destroy the control tower as the Ju-88, with effectively one bomb left, banks and goes for the fuel dump. Now we've got deck cards that are coming up, and this happened to be one of them, an unexploded bomb, which was really interesting. Because basically the bomb drops, it doesn't go off, but then every turn if you roll a 1, it will go off. However, that Gloucester Gladiator with huge pluck has basically gone in, done an Immelman, comes back, gets the first shot because he's a fighter on the fighter bomber, but misses. The resultant return fire, yet again its cannons, blows the living hell out of that aircraft, and down she goes into the drink, crashing away. Meanwhile, we've got the good old Norwegian aircraft evaded everything. Even though he's been tailed twice, he manages to get round. However, the 109 sees a moment, opens fire, clips him with the cannon, taking the whole rear wing basically apart, and she just crashes into the dirt. Now the Lysander, they've managed to get their crew and effectively, unbeknownst to everyone, managed to rumble onto the runway, and literally with a sixpence takeoff, it literally gets into the air and basically flies out as the Germans are returning to base. Very successful with that run, 6 minutes, and just as they're on their way out, the unexploded bomb blows up and destroys the fuel dump. So it was a very easy and comfortable victory for the Germans. We actually got our first ace with Wotan is his call sign. Whether he'll be an evil ace, we just don't know. But it was a great game, really stimulating, quite difficult. And we've got, obviously, parachute drops to come into Narvik, possibly, or air landing. We're not sure yet. The conditions in Narvik are very bad. But for this game, it was great. I mean, it wasn't hugely significant in our campaign. And we've been very inspired by Flames of War, obviously, and the lists in building Norwegian forces. But in building our own lists, we've been, very interested as well. So please, guys, continue to support us, subscribe, share us about, and stay tuned. And may I wish you a very good day or evening, whatever time you pick this up. And it's over and out from me. Bye for now.